Hello, dear friends. Here we are with another episode study of the Spiritist magazine. What a blessing to be here with you. And as we verify that we are live or on demand, feel welcome. Our goal here on Tuesday evenings, or if you're watching this on demand, is to bring awareness to the wealth of resources that you and I have as Spiritists speaking English in order to learn, to get to know, reflect, discuss, and grow within the Spiritist doctrine. Therefore, we're here every week posting a discussion from one of the articles of the Spiritist magazine. But before we go there, we always remind you guys for you to visit spiritistmagazine.org. The website of the Spiritist magazine will allow you to download the PDF of the Spiritist magazine, which you're going to see soon, because that's what I use to bring the articles for our discussion. You can also download the app for your phone or tablet. In the app, free of charge again, you'll be able to download all of the issues of the Spiritist magazine and read them and carry them with you. So then when you are having some free time, some downtime, waiting for something, you can pull up the app, open it, and read the messages. A lot of the teachings you're going to see are from books, from research that is still yet to be published in English. So there is really a lot that we can learn and utilize by visiting the website. And if you also go to the website and order the physical copy of the Spiritist magazine, many of us do not use physical resources anymore, but this is something you can have in your house and then you can use for your own gospel at home as well. This is the physical copy of the newest issue of the Spiritist magazine. Every now and then, because I come present to you the Spiritist magazine, I order some of the issues so that I can have for you to look at. And today's article is titled Adversaries, and it's written by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier. And friends, this is all of the magazine in the written form is brought to you by MagCloud, which is the partner, and we don't make any money off of it. It's just the cost of printing and the quality that goes into the work that goes in behind the scenes for you and I to have these teachings. It's no joke. It's a lot of good work, and it's on par with many of the magazines that you find anywhere in this world. We also have content for children. So this is for old, young, I should say new in the body or older in the body, because we're all immortal spirits. We have millennia behind us. But this is a beautiful way for you to find the resources for you to use it with your children, young adults. We have issues dedicated to them. We also have poetry, music, reflection, scientific research as well. I keep my copy here because I made notes for us to discuss. All of these free of charge under the guidance of the good spirits. Go back to the playlist and watch the program we had with the editor-in-chief, Vanessa Anceloni, last week, and you're going to see the whole behind the scenes, the history of the Spiritist magazine, 13 years of continuous publication. And there's no better time on the earth for us to deepen our understanding and our knowledge of the Spiritist teachings today. This is the article we're going to talk about today. If you were to download the PDF of the Spiritist magazine to your computer, this is what you would see. And you can easily browse through the issues and find many other resources that might be adequate for your life circumstances at the time. And if you were to scroll down to, this is issue 54. This is the article that we're going to talk about today. And the article continues on this page as well. Here. I'm going to be zooming in and out so we can read parts of it. It's a long one. We're not going to be hitting every phrase, but this is more of awareness program than anything. So the goal here is for you and I to think about how these teachings apply to our daily lives. So the title is Adversaries. It's from the book After the Storm, which I believe is still out of print. That's what it says on the bottom. By the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of from the mediumship of Divaldo Pereira Franco. Now, what are adversaries? What do you consider an adversary to your precepts on this planet? Are you someone else's adversary? Just the title. The good spirits, as you know, are very concise and precise, and they hit right on the spot. Are we creating adversaries in this lifetime? Are we living with adversaries from previous lives in our lives? We'll see. What is your role when you think about the word adversary? How does it make you feel? How are we considering the brothers and sisters in humanity that are living around us and with us and for us? Friends or foes, right? So we'll talk about all of this tonight. Joanna will say, no one on the earth is exempt from having to cope with adversaries in their lifetime. She says, they cross the paths of every person, scrutinizing imperfections and making demands. So that's one definition of adversary. Someone who crosses our path, finding ways to see how imperfect we still are. Or we are going through other people's paths, finding in them their imperfections and making demands on them. It says, possessed by villainous feelings, they crave fault finding and are never satisfied. Do we go about our days finding fault in others and never satisfied, never considering that they are where they need to be and they're doing the best they can? I'm always going to flip this because it's easy for us to say they are finding fault on me, but am I going around? Because that's the thing I can control, is how I am doing and what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. Are we going around scrutinizing people instead of seeing the good, molding the good, visualizing the good? As Emmanuel says, are we going around finding fault in others? And then she will go about and give us many examples of how these people might find themselves in our lives or how we are going about and being in other people's lives. So some of them disguise with a smile the feelings of animosity which torment them. When taking part in recreational gatherings, they are annoyed and depressed, which keeps them busy devising well-planned schemes or impulsive acts and sudden retaliations of an idiosyncrasy they cannot control. So maybe we go a place, instead of enjoying the moment, we are there annoyed by the people around us and what they're doing. They're not doing the way we want, and then we are disguising our feelings of animosity towards others with a smile. It says most of them do not even know the reason why they become adversaries, if a reason could ever justify unfriendly attitudes. How many times we find ourselves on the earth finding someone who we don't have friendship feelings towards, we're not warm towards, but we don't even know why we consider them adversaries. Or we've considered them adversaries from decades, from our childhood, from something that they said or done, or we perceive they said or done, and we don't even considered reconciling that, reestablishing that relationship. Sometimes we don't even know. And she says they are simply victims of lower feelings, intoxicated by the vapors of sickly mental fixations. in which they presume to be emotionally accomplished. And aside here, so when we have sickly mental fixations, when we are focusing on something that is not healthy, focusing on the imperfections of others, focus on the lack of what is lacking instead of being grateful for what we have, when we sickly have mental fixations of unwell wishes towards others, we wish them to fail or not do well, and we're not nourishing the best in them. Those sickly mental fixations have vapors that intoxicate us and others around us. So when we are in a place and we're fixated on what's missing, what is lacking, what is not done the way we want, we have these vapors. And then we are victims of our own lower feelings. Have you thought about it? Have you been in the presence of someone who is emanating those vapors? Just because we don't know it exists, it doesn't mean we're not affected by them. They're going about our day without even knowing of spiritism. And yet they are emanating those vapors. And they become victim of those lower feelings, those vapors intoxicate, and ultimately they can cause disease as well. And she's going to say here, and then there are some who are unwilling to offer the fair and valuable share of the sacrifices that others do in their daily struggles. We see what could be done, but we're unable to do our part. Yeah, the group is not doing well, but what am I doing to help that group on their study? They're not studying the gospel the way I would, but I'm unwilling to volunteer an hour a week to run the studies, right? So, and then we proceed to jealousy, to aversion, become true censors and persecutors of others. Now, instead of blaming the spirit companions we have as persecuting us, we are persecuting others. It's always about how these teachings apply to our daily lives. She says here, one can always find reasons to antagonize other people. Are we finding other reasons? Always finding reasons to antagonize others instead of seeing the potential, encouraging the potential, supporting the potential. We say, I don't like the way they run their show, but I'm unwilling to start my own show, start my own study group, start my own center, but I'm willing to criticize the center I go to. Or I'm unwilling to do my fair share of work, but I'm criticizing my colleague the way they run their reports. So this is why we're here, because Joanna is telling us we can always find reasons to antagonize others. And it tends to be about a point of view. Later she will say, moral weaknesses uses false arguments to justify its own imperfections and to transfer to them to someone else. So maybe we find ourselves unable to run the group the way we want, and then we transport that to others and we start criticizing them. Moral weakness lacks the courage to face and correct itself, to acquire values and to rise spiritually, thus changing its outlooks and seeing things as they are. She says the view from a valley is limited by the narrow horizon. So we're in the valley. We can only see so much because the mountains are blocking your view. But if you go to the top of the mountain, now you see the horizon for what it is. And I'm only going to go through part of it because I want you to go and study this chapter on your own at home. And then she's saying here, they abound everywhere. So potential adversaries, those who are adverse, who are going against what we're doing, assuming we're doing something for the good, adversaries of the good are everywhere. You run into them on the earth in the physical form, as well as beyond it in spirit. Always surrender to those weak and ridiculous attitudes. Everyone feels their assaults. And even if you think about when you are in the spiritual realm, you're less constrained by the presence of the physical body. Then they can be even greater adversaries because they can travel to and from, causing trouble without having to actually do what we need to do. When we want to antagonize someone, we have to drive to the Spiritist center or to the mediumistic, or log on Zoom, have a computer. The spirits can just be there with us. And they abound. Those who are willing to criticize and find fault abound everywhere in both realms of life. So the question is, which path do you want to choose? The path of helping and co-creation in goodness, or the path of hindering the progress by being an adversary? And I'm saying it this way, inspired by the good spirits, as we prepare this, to tell you that you have the power to choose. Maybe from until now, we weren't aware of those tendencies. We weren't aware we were being adversaries of the good. But then we take a breath and we realize, okay, yes, I guess I was criticizing. I was doing this and the other. Now, today I commit to be better, to co-creating goodness. And then when I hear a comment, a criticism, I shut it down right there. When I start thinking, I wouldn't run that Spiritist magazine program the way she does. And then she's like, okay, maybe I'll volunteer. I'll write to Kardec Radio and I'll say, I would like to do a program about this and the other. And the director will go to the mentors of Kardec Radio and say, is this appropriate? Is this reasonable? You all have done it. So the commitment now is to what to do next. But even something that sounds negative, there's a positive side to everything, she says. However, if you make good use of them, they turn out to be indirectly beneficial. So something can have a benefit even if indirectly. Unknowingly, they will help you discover the moral weakness in yourself that you must correct. So do you find yourself being criticized? Do you find yourself someone who annoys you, who always finding fault on what you're doing? Maybe there is a moral weakness there you need to correct. So they can be instruments of your growth as you reflect. Do I really? Am I always really late? Am I always not doing the best report I can? Am I always yelling at my children? Am I always angry at the traffic light when it turns yellow and I speed, or I'm tailgating someone because I'm late? So there are things we can work on that if we take up the criticisms that people are doing, we can really do self-renewal and evaluation and be like, okay, I didn't do this well as I could. What else could I do? Is there really a reason, a true reason why this person is criticizing me? Is there any truth behind the criticism? She will say, oops, I'm going to make crazy here. They will, let's see if we can show this one because of the contrast. She says, they will call your attention to the faults that mar your conduct. They will point out character flaws in your behavior in which you have been unaware of. They will tell you bluntly in detail the mistake you've made which have gone unnoticed. They will train you in patience and detachment by showing you unimportant errors and minor mistakes. They will demand austerity in your examples and optimism in your attitude, thus instigating you to humility. Because we sometimes go about our day thinking we're the best thing after sliced bread. But we are also prone to error because we are imperfect, perfectible spirits attached to the layers of evolution on the earth. So even if we find adversaries in our path criticizing and commenting on what we do, these are things they can do for us, even if their intent was negative. Now let's flip it. What if I'm the one criticizing? We should not just say, okay, I'll criticize it because then they can do something good with it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we stop. If every place I go, every program I listen to, every report I read, everywhere I go I find error, I find what is lacking, I fail to see the bountiful goodness that is everywhere in the universe. So I commit to not be the one criticizing, to not be the one finding faults. while balancing, not turning a blind eye to evil. So if someone is trying to hurt another, you need to step in and do something. No, the bystander training that you need to take. If you see someone hurting others, committing a crime, we need to step in and call the authorities. If someone continuously come to you to gossip, you have to say, okay, I'm sorry. I cannot incur in this conversation anymore. Let's see the goodness that this colleague has done to me. If you see someone hurling insults at others, we need to step in and do the right thing. We cannot just say, oh, we'll criticize, because then people will use that for their own good. There are ways to provide constructive criticism and feedback that doesn't hurt, and it doesn't only focus on the faults of others. So it's a balance. That's exactly what Joanna will say here right now. Let me put it here. Just what is important is that you, reader and listener, that's me included, to not become the enemy or persecutor of anyone. Turn the world within, removing the real enemies of peace, deep-seated in every person, for that is where they thrive and multiply. So we cannot allow ourselves to become the persecutors of others. So what do? She says, whenever someone reacts to an aggressor, he established attunements with him, giving origin to an interdependence of a psychic nature, a sort of mental commerce of hatred. The result of such exchange is detrimental subjugation of both parties. So when we join in the criticism on the fault, and we react to it in a negative manner, we are interdependent with those folks. So we need to stop that. She says, without a doubt, the effort and resistance needed must be continuous. It happens all the time. We're thinking beings. We think continuously all the time. For adversaries are born and reborn and easily multiplying the lower levels of the soul. So we have the ability to be born and reborn as adversary of someone. Therefore, she says, let me see if I can put it bigger and nicer here for you. The Lord has advised what? Prayer and watchfulness, so that human being may overcome temptation. When was the last time you prayed today? When was the last time you stopped to be mindful of now? What am I doing now? Am I here listening and trying to learn? Or am I here complimenting the way people look or sound? Am I thinking about the better ways I would say the same thing? Or am I actually saying, okay, God allowed me to be here listening about adversaries. Today, did I act in an adversarial way towards anybody? Did I criticize? Was I impatient? Did I have those sickly mental fixations? Did I wish someone unwell? It's always about how can these teachings help us grow? And then pray. Because when we pray, we allow the connection with the good spirits. We can talk directly to God without intermediaries. That's the beauty of Spiritism. We can pray to God every day. And watchfulness means I'm mindful of how am I feeling. Am I feeling anxious, exhausted, fearful? Am I transmitting that to others? Did I pick it up when talking to a friend? Am I gossiping with the other one? Am I criticizing with the other one? Or am I co-creating in goodness? Am I choosing to have the evil path stop within me and seek the good? Or am I continue? So when we pray, the obstacles aren't going to go away. The moment she said in the beginning, the presence abound, adversaries abound. There's always going to be someone who finds flaws in what we do, because we are not a superior spirit. We're not Christ-like yet. Therefore, we are prone to errors. So there's always going to be someone who's going to find those errors and difficulties. But when we pray, the good spirits can come and give us the inspiration on what to say, how to do, how to look at them, how to smile. Sometimes silence is the best remedy. It just says, in such continuous struggles, there will be many heartaches, which ultimately bring total health, joy. Look at the beautiful graphics here of this magazine. And peace. To enjoy these, make an effort to discipline your character by acquiring healthy habits and performing noble acts. By being an example of faith, love, and charity, you will gradually transform those enemies who gave you trouble into helpers of your progress, perhaps real brothers and sisters and fellow workers. This will do if you will decide not to return evil for evil, either in deeds or in thought. By loving them and seeing in them friends who are actually sick and in need of your help for your happiness and theirs. Love your enemies, right? Love God, love your enemies. And this is from the book After the Storm by Joanna de Angelis by Liao publisher. This book is currently out of print. And that's why we're bringing this to you. So that each and every day in this life, we can think about the role we are playing in other people's lives, in our lives. And if and when we become adversaries, we can switch. We can replace the negative thought by a positive one, a negative eye and view on something by a positive one. Everything is possible when we align our will with the will of God and the presence of the good spirits by our sides. They will always help us today and always. Dear friends, this is all we have for today. Make sure you visit spiritistmagazine.org. Make sure you share, like, subscribe, follow, whatever the current language of social media is, so that maybe someone else can benefit from the teachings we have shared with you today. Between now and the next time we meet, I hope that you can have much health, much peace, much work in conquering the adversaries that we encounter. Stay well, stay safe, take care of yourself and others, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.